We have to go back.
I think we are. First of all, we have to get out of here as soon as possible. Well, let's try to get outside. Yeah. We can pick it up at 10. We'll probably push it back up, right? We have to go back. I think we are. First of all, we have to get out of here as soon as possible.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How we all doing? Oh,
I'm great, actually. Thank you. How are
you're
you?
you're already. We're starting off strong. Your mic and your cam are already out of sync. Yeah. You gotta talk for
You
me to
doing
know.
okay?
There we go. Okay, good.
Oh, that is true. I should probably do that.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the bowling alley. I, of course, being the guy who stood behind the bar who asks you for ID, but you're pretty sure is 14, and Sammy Pauling, and to my left, as always, is the creepy janitor who keeps giving your child compliments. It's Sebastian Wrightson.
What can I say? That kid's a really good bowler.
Stop. Shut up. Um, you have a beautiful child. So anyway, cool. So this, of course, is the Edgy Boy Picture Show, where us, two edgy boys, talk about films. Myself being a film production student, and Seb doing a master's degree in on-screen acting. This week, of course, the film that we are going to be talking about, reviewing, and having a look at is Camp Nowhere. This film was a 1994 film starring Christian Lloyd. Again,
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. That's what I said in my head. I am
Yeah.
tired. Christopher Lloyd. I know. Shut up.
Yeah, no, I know you know.
But
I
yeah,
love you.
everyone in chat, tell me how you feeling. And hey, if you're watching the Edgy Boy Picture Show on our YouTube channel, you could have watched on Twitch. You could have watched this happen live. That's Mondays, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we stream on twitch.tv/Sammy_P71. And Tuesdays, Fridays, the same time, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's just me playing video games. Yeah. So, I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis and a brief overview storyline of the film. So yeah, Camp Nowhere, 1994 film. A kid named Morris Mudd, his nickname's Mudd, Morris Mudd Himmel, has a problem. His parents desperately want to send him away to a computer summer camp, and he hates it. He thinks it's so boring, and he thinks that his parents don't listen to him. And he wants to get out of it. So, while talking to his friends, who they also agree, hey, I don't want to go to camp either this year. They all agree that what they should do is they should create a fake summer camp to trick their parents into sending them away so that they can go to this parent-free paradise and chill for 8 weeks, basically. So the way that they do this is they blackmail a former drama teacher from the school where they go to, who got fired for, I believe, doing Silence of the Lambs the musical,
Yeah.
is what they said in the film. Till ultimately the parents all want to visit this fake summer camp, so they set up an elaborate thing in the end, but they all get busted, and they all become better people, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't made a fake summer camp for their parents?
Yeah,
I sure have.
I also definitely have done that. That is a thing
Yeah,
that I have
we,
done.
we're cool kids.
We're the coolest kids. Um, so, yeah. So yeah. So that's a brief little overview of the film.
What did you think of it?
Seb. Oh,
Having
okay.
watched it as a kid, I thought I'd
Yes.
jump in and
No,
ask
you
you this
should
time.
jump in. You did. I asked you last time. That's fair.
You did.
Um, I, I, growing up, I watched this film, and I was at that age where it's like that's what I want. I wanna freaking go absolutely buck wild and just go in the middle of nowhere for weeks. It's just like, I don't know, to me it encompasses this big, like teenage rebellion feel. It's also quite similar to I'm not sure what it was. It was released after the fact, but have you seen the Jimmy Neutron film where
Yeah, of course.
all the parents just mysteriously leave? Yeah,
Or that
that's
SpongeBob episode where everyone leaves SpongeBob
No, but
behind and they go off
that's
the bank.
specifically everyone. I'm talking about just
That is
parents.
true. That
Um,
is true.
but yeah, it was just this kid like. And I loved Mud. Mud was so cool to me as a kid because he's intelligent. He's friends with all these people, even though he's a considered a geek. He's still got a load of friends, and he's really cool.
And hey, he has potential.
He has so much
He has so much
potential.
potential.
Oh my god! If you watched
So
this
much.
film, if you did your Edgy Boy homework and you watched the film, um, you'll know how much potential Mud had, which is funny because I don't think he's been in any other films. But what
Yeah,
about you?
I looked up. I liked the film. Well, when I was growing up, I remember watching this. It was in a time slot on Disney Channel between Minutemen and
Loved
I think the
Minutemen.
Hannah Montana movie.
Love
Minutemen's a fantastic movie.
Minutemen is a great
Minutemen's
film.
better than this movie, definitely.
Oh,
Because on rewatch, I did not like this movie.
I
This is
remember.
where we disagree.
This is definitely where we disagree because rewatching it, I thought it was still amazing. I thought from the nostalgia I had, I rewatched it and I was like, this still holds up, being from 1994. Why do you think
Yeah.
it doesn't hold up? Just jumping straight into
So,
that.
right. God, you're asking the big questions right out the gate.
Well, I should say,
Um,
I should state for the record, I decided on this film because Seb had the idea of Labyrinth, but I was like, I don't know. And then we had a different idea, which I was like, I don't feel like rewatching that film. And I was like, let's watch Camp Nowhere. And Seb was like, yeah, I love that film as a kid. So we just picked it basically. I think I googled 90s. I think I googled 90s movies, and Camp Nowhere was literally the first result.
wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Because yeah, we both watched it as a kid, and I remember at the time when I watched it, I was like, this is awesome. Like this is exactly what I imagined the 90s to be. Um, full of like these weird pop punk music and like it was around that time when pop music was becoming like modern pop music that we know today. Um, and I don't know on rewatch, it all just felt very cliched to me. Like after watching loads of movies about like high school kids and all of this, everyone very much like fit into some kind, you know, stereotype. Um, and I think the biggest issue I had with it was the supporting cast of kid actors. Like I know they're just kids, but it was like the writing for their characters was very much like how I imagine a bunch of writers got in a room and like, right, how do we write kids? Like, come on, guys. I know the bad guy, the bad kid. He'll wear a leather jacket that's too big for him, and he'll like have to give the main character swirlies, but they'll really be best friends. And the popular girl's like awful. She's so mean to everyone, but she's got a heart of gold, really. And it's like, at the time, I'm sure it was like, wow, like these characters are really nice and developed. But watching it back, I was like, this is definitely just a kids' movie. And that's
See,
just my
see,
opinion, obviously.
that's where I highly disagree with you because because I think that the popular girl trope. I understand where you're coming from. That definitely is a trope in some films. I don't think it's true here because like the popular girl trope was the theater girl, and she wasn't expressly popular in the film. And also she wasn't really mean to anyone either. She was fairly,
It's because
fairly
there's that one
nice.
throwaway line where the main character's like best friend. Um, he's like, what would you know about it? You're the most popular girl in school. And I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
oh, okay, I get it. Like, he's the edgy bad boy, and she's the popular girl, and they get together in the end because that would never happen in real high school.
Cause
They would
romance.
disagree.
It's
Yeah,
so
because
funny though, because there's so like the scene that I want to talk about right now in the film, was where he's fit. Because I mean, of course there are tropes. Because I mean, he's like a disaffected youth who, well, yeah, wears leather jackets, has long hair, is gonna, and is like repairing a car for some reason, and he
I
knows
just
how
want to
to
say, I love
do
that
that.
we've jumped to the middle of the movie.
Really to the middle of the film. This isn't structured. Anyway, so okay, let's cut back to the beginning then. So
Yes.
we're introduced to Mud, and this creepy man is like, come to my summer camp where we'll learn coding, and his dad's like, yes, because my son has such potential. He has so much
And
potential.
this was before the days of like stranger danger, so they invite all of these people into their
They,
house.
well,
I
I
just want to
mean,
put that out.
and there's one line in the film that really gets me, because as we go on with the film, we discover that Max that Mud really doesn't want to go, and his dad's saying like, you'll thank me later, like it's gonna be fun. Yeah, like you're so much smarter than all the other kids. Was the fat camp girl's mom ever investigated by child services? She should have been. Jeez.
Absolutely.
But like that's one thing where I agree with Seb, because the
Yes.
fat girl who she's like not even fat, like throughout the entire film, and then at the end, obviously there's the scene where the mom's like, "Oh my God, you're so thin." And it's like,
which is the first thing she says to her, by the way, when she
her.
sees her child.
But that is expressed as a bad thing. That is expressed as like, that's not what you should notice about your child. So that, but she says, "Oh my God, you're so thin," and she looks exactly the same. But yeah, so she was svelte. I don't know what that means. Svelte. I don't get it. Sorry.
I don't know.
But yeah, so Mud is like, he's like all upset because his dad wants to send him to camp, and he's like, no, I don't want to go to this camp. And my favorite part about that like little section is his dad says, "Don't you think there's something else I'd rather spend $3,000 on?" And I was like, hold the phone. What? This camp was going to be $3,000 in 1994? That's infinite money. Like, I was like, what? She was svelte. It's what her mom said. Oh, I mean, just
I think at that point in the movie, we were just kind of blown away by what was happening on screen.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But yeah, so Mud is all upset, and he I think it's Yiddish. Oh, okay, cool. And he's all upset, and we see all the we get this little nice bit of exposition where the mom is where all four of them so we have the four cliches. We have the smart kid, we have the theater girl, we have the other nerd geek girl, and we have the bad boy, and they're all walking. And I actually really like that moment, because I don't know, I know you said oh, she's the most popular girl in school. I know it's like a throwaway line or whatever, but like, oh yeah, most popular girl in school, but then why is she hanging out with this ragtag group of misfits? Like,
so I'm glad you bring it up, because
I really liked that moment. Svelte means slender or elegant. Oh, I'm Cass and I know words.
I'm Yiddish. I don't know. That's a lie. I don't think you are.
You don't think Cass is Yiddish? I imagine Cass isn't Yiddish.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Not me. The one thing I love about this movie that I think it does really well is it gives you backstory without being like blatant about it. There is a line later on in the movie where they talk about growing up together. They were friends before school, which is why they all live close together and why they're all friends and why they walk and stuff. I think it's in that conversation between the popular girl and the bad boy jock. She was like, you used to be so nice ever since you started out with hanging out with those guys. Like, at the start of school, you changed. It's like, oh, I see, they knew each other before, and so it makes sense.
So I did like that little moment where all four of them are walking together, because I was like, ah, that's cute.
It's very sweet. It's very sweet.
But yeah, and they all in this moment when they're walking, they say, the I don't know any of their names, so I just have to go off of Popular Girl. And anyway, so
I'll look it up.
the Popular Girl's like, oh, I don't want to go to this Broadway camp, and then the other girl's like, oh, I don't want to spend my like third summer at da fat camp.
So
And then
the popular
one
girl's
sec.
called Trish,
Trish,
and then the unpopular girl is called Gabby,
Gabby.
and then the bad boy is called Zach.
I knew Zach because Zach is such a bad boy name.
Yeah,
like of course
classic
his name's Zach. But so at this point in the film, yeah, and then Zach says, "Oh, better than going to Silverback Military Academy or whatever the hell." And that line was very like clunky. And then the beautiful thing for me was because obviously this whole thing is Mud's idea or whatever, but he goes, "Oh, I wish we could just do our own camp." And Zach's the one who's like, "Yeah." Zach's like, "We should do that." And then, they all... This is another moment I love, is when they're all sat on the floor. They're all lying on the floor, and, like, their heads are touching. And he goes, "It's deranged. It'd be hard to pull off, as they're having this little conversation. But, yeah, so when that happens, they get this idea of, like, oh, well, let's make a fake camp. We need an adult to pull it off. And what adult were they thinking of? That's right, they were thinking of Dennis, last name. And I forgot.
That's his official new
That's
character name.
his
Is Dennis
official
last name.
character name. No. But yeah, they go to this guy called Dennis.
Dennis Van Welker.
Van Welker, yes. Go to Dennis Van Welker, and they're like, "Hey, we find him in a trailer, like on the side of the highway, like not even in a nice trailer park or anything. He's like..."
It should be mentioned as well that Zach also has a group of like friends, which is awful people.
Yeah, delinquent friends.
Which is obviously part of the course. But we first meet Dennis in
At the
a
mall.
mall because
He's selling Cheese Whiz.
he's selling Cheese Whiz and like deep fried like cheese sticks.
Yeah, Easy Cheese. Well, he worked at the cheese store at the mall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was called Easy Cheese, which is obviously just a rip off of Cheese Whiz.
Yeah. And Mud is like completely transfixed by him because he's giving this whole like speech and
he's making the fish talk.
doing funny comedy things.
Things. Yeah. Sorry.
And that's when that's where they get the idea to go to Dennis from.
They see that. So they go, and he's living in a trailer, like, off the side of a highway. Like, it's just this trailer, and he knocks on the door, and he's like, "Are you Dennis Van Welker?" And he's like, "Depends, who wants to know?" That's my Christopher Lloyd impression.
It's good.
Thank you. And then, yeah, so then what happens is we come to discover that this like loan shark agency called like Bulldog Payments or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Bulldog Payments.
I can't believe you remember that.
I can't remember a lot of things, but the name of the fake loan shark company in Camp Nowhere, the 1994 classic, it's in my head forever.
Yeah.
Who
could possibly forget?
Ashboo is now following. Thank you so much, Ashboo, for the follow.
Thank you.
Welcome to the bowling alley. I hope you have a fun time.
Yeah, what's your shoe size? We'll make sure that we get those.
Yeah, we'll make sure that you get your complimentary bowling shoes, bowling shirt, and your terrible attitude. Go see Doris, our receptionist. She's never in her office. Cool. So, so we oh, where was I? Oh yeah, Bulldog Agency,
yeah.
Bulldog Payments or whatever the hell. Anyway, we come to find out that Dennis Van Welker only made like 3 payments on his car, on his this became a big thing on the Caribbean Yellow Gremlin, the AMC Gremlin, which is the car, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he this is where we get a sense of Dennis Van Welker as a character, because Mud knocks on his door. He has a tiny brief conversation, and then someone pulls up, and he's like, get in, and he like pulls him in, closes the door. And what happens then is the classic line, "You're sitting on my teeth." He puts in fake teeth, puts on like little hippie glasses, puts on a like a beanie hat. So he's clear that he's got like props and costumes and stuff in his trailer, so we get a sense of his character. And then he goes out, and this very serious kind of Southern man comes, and played by T.R. Polk, who's played by E. Emmett Walsh. M. Emmett Walsh. My apologies. But he comes out.
I don't think Emmett Walsh will mind.
He might. Anyway, he knocks on the door and goes, "Do you know a Dennis Van Welker?" And goes, "Gee, no, I don't know a Dennis Van Welker." And he goes, "Oh, well, he bought this car and he didn't make his payments." And he goes, "Oh, what a swine!" And it's very funny. It's a very funny scene. And then this guy like kicks in the door of his shed where we know that the car is. But Mud's friends, who he showed up to the scene with, hotwired the car and drove it away, so the car wasn't there. So he was like, "Oh, this guy can't be Dennis Van Welker then."
And the best part about this scene, in my opinion, is when Mud comes out, because Mud runs out to help Dennis with the whole charade by putting on an accent and pretending to be his kid.
Yeah, he goes up, "Pa, the plantation called. 3 turbines are down." Yeah, it was this wonderful little like, okay, they're both evil geniuses, like they're And he was like, and then this kind of gives our incentive, because Max says to Dennis, "I'll give you $1,000 to do it," and he was like, "This is insane. I'm not doing it." But then this man T.R. Polk, who's looking for him, and he says at the end, I think he owes like $2,800, and he says, if you find anything, here's my card and my number, because I'd sure like to get a hold of him, and so would the state police department. So we know that it's not just him; it's also police. Hands him his card, and this is where the incentive comes from, because just doing it for $1,000, yeah, that sounds great, but like Dennis could just get up and leave. Like he could just, like, because he'd been on the run, so he could just keep being on the run. So Mud takes the card and says, and essentially blackmails him, and just like, "I know where you are. I know exactly. I could call him right now. Like he could come here right now. My friends are in your car. We could drive your car that you owe the payments to there right now, and you'd get arrested." So he was like, "Oh, I'll do it for $1,000 then." And so they agree. And this is again where we get the sense of Christopher Lloyd's character, and I absolutely love Dennis Van Welker as a character in this film. To me, Dennis is just such a, I don't know, I'm not sure if you ever had a teacher like that, who was very like kind of in your face, quite big, but also just very much definitely insane.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time being like one of the smartest people you've ever known. Like I had a teacher when I was younger who was exactly like that, and he was insane, and but he was insanely intelligent, and he knew exactly what he was talking about. So this is where we get a lovely montage of Dennis Van Welker being these different characters. The first one is my favorite joke, because Mud's dad throughout the entire film wears like these ugly Bill Cosby sweaters, I don't know if I can say that, with a horrible Tom Selleck mustache, big thick rimmed glasses with like really slicked over oiled comb over. Like that's what he looks like. He looks like a real creep. And when Dennis Van Welker shows up to their house, he looks exactly like him. Like I'm not even saying like he looked, for a second when watching the film, I thought that was Mud's dad, and I was like, wait, no, that's Dennis. Literally,
I love that joke, because there's this amazing line where his dad's like, "Oh, I love your sweater." And it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's clearly his
It's
sweater. So it's
exactly his
like,
sweater. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
Mud stole it and definitely gave it to him to wear.
yeah. No,
Um,
100%. And
but
then,
yeah,
sorry.
this definitely does give Christopher Lloyd to kind of like a chance to stretch his acting legs, because like he plays all of these different characters, and he just nails all of them. Like I genuinely believe that he could play any of these characters to their fullest if he was given
In
a
a
chance.
full-fledged film. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, definitely,
yeah,
because
amazing.
he starts off being the computer nerd, just being like, we're we're doing coding at levels above the rest of the camps. 300 out of the 500 Forbes top 500 richest companies list. Like he's just spewing. And again, the favorite part is kind of the really funny bit where he says, "But Max has got such," and both the parents lean forward because the entire time they've been harping on at him saying he's got potential. So they both lean forward, and Mud just goes, because because Dennis clearly forgot, he just goes, "Potential," and it's and they both go, "Yes, yes, we agree." Then we go to the theater director, where he's like got this slicked back hair and a thin pencil mustache and like this big like bomber jacket. He's wearing all blacks and he speaks in a French accent. Goes and he talks about the theater and it's absolutely wonderful because like in that section um it sets up a big thing for like the rest of the film where sorry, I'm just gonna turn my microphone down a bit. It sets up a big thing for the rest of the film where everyone is like signaling to Dennis like what he needs to say. So like when they go oh well how like when's Parents' Day, and the daughter's like, and he goes, "Oh, we do not believe in Parents' Day." And I love that scene as well because we also get a really big indication of like the parents as well, because the dad of the theater girl just confuses her with her sister every single time that she's mentioned. Every single time that she is mentioned, she is like, "Oh, yeah, because she loves horses," and it's like, "No, that's Caitlin, our other daughter. We're talking about Trish
Yeah,
and her acting." And then like later on, she goes, "Oh yeah, I always get bored at these at these horse shows," and goes, "That's our other daughter. This is Trish. This is the acting." And
yeah.
it's so funny to me because he clearly just doesn't care. Um, then the fat camp.
Your mic is a little bit quiet, by the way, on my end.
Ooh, okay. How we doing? How's everyone?
That's the one.
How's it sounding in chat? Sammy, you got quiet.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, cool. Turn that
yeah.
back up then. Cool. Cool. Anyway, I'm afraid now. Let me know how it goes. Okay, cool.
That's
Cool.
perfect. It's perfect, my end.
Sick. Right. Anyway, where was I? Yes. So then we go on to the fat camp motif, and it's so
This is
funny.
my favorite one.
I thought it would be. Do you want to talk about it?
I can do, yeah. So the fat camp motif is basically your classic 80s aerobic kind of think Olivia
Richard
Newton-John in
Simmons,
Let's Get
like,
Physical. Yeah, yeah. And very like campy and like the
curled
exact
hair.
combination of yeah, the combination of like what you imagine like 80s camp to be. And he talks about how he's going on about this program of like all of these exercises they're going to do. He says, "Oh, we have like this cake." Um and it's
Diets
just this
don't
scene.
work. Chocolate
Yeah.
cake works.
And you can see like the wheels turning in her mum's head, like, "What are you talking about? You're crazy." And then it just cuts to them eating this cake, and her mum like spits it out. She's like, "This is disgusting. Like, it's perfect."
Because if it tastes
And
like poison, it
Gabby,
must be diet food.
exactly. Um, and Gabby's like, "What did you do to her cake?" And he was like, "Oh, we've got real chocolate cake. She's eating like salmon
She's eating
paste or
paste,
something like
yeah.
that." Yeah. And it's just like I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that is wonderful. And then it ends with the General Savage, who is this like buttoned up military guy because he's go to a military camp or whatever. and
He's got scars all over his face
he's
and
got these
like
beautiful fake
burns and
scars and this beautiful like grey mustache, and it does just show his range, because I just believed all of those characters so much. Like he could play four different characters. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Just entirely.
Yeah, and the Savage's moment is definitely the hardest one. He's trying to convince Zach's dad to send him to this other camp, and Zach's dad's like, "No, we've already met with the counselor at this one. We're not sending him to a different camp. It's too late." And he's like, "We had a nickname for that guy.
In
We called him
Nam.
yeah. It's like
Called him
we called him the
Weeper.
Weasel. That's what. Yeah,
Weepy, because he cried or something.
yeah. Yeah, it's so
There's a
good,
little
and he
nickname
kind
he
of
picked
pulls
up
these
in
tricks out of the
Nam.
bag. It's like it's perfect. It's if I was a parent and I saw that, it would definitely convince me.
I mean, well, because it's fun, because like summer camp isn't really a thing in this country, and I don't even know if it's still a thing in America, really, but it just never really was a thing here. So it is fun watching this film, to get that like fake, like, because you only ever hear about summer camp in like TV shows.
Yeah.
I've had a few friends in America like who've said that they've gone to different like camps over the summer and stuff, but
I was going to ask if you'd ever been to camp.
I've never been, because like they usually take up most of the summer. Well, like it said in there, it was 8 weeks of summer camp.
Yeah.
Like that, and that wasn't questioned. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a lot of time.
And there's like what,
and obviously-
104 days of summer vacation.
I knew you were gonna say that, you asshole. But no, there actually isn't. By any logic, that song is completely wrong. But
It sounds like a lot of days.
that's a lot of days. You came to our boot camp every year. What she's referring to, is
I'm excited.
Well, it was literally just every year for the summer I went to my dad's, and this year, 2020 was the first year that I haven't gone to my dad's for summer since I was like 6. So like 13
Wow, long
years
time.
consecutively. Unlucky 13. Oh my god, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh my god.
um,
I went to camp once.
was it band camp?
We had no, thank God. We had it was like a school trip camp that took place over the summer. Well, sort of. See, we didn't have like camps that you do over the summer. We had like school trips where you go to a camp and you like camp in a tent and stuff, do different lake activities and things like that.
That's pretty much what it is. Because I mean, it's not like glorified, like, because obviously in a TV it's glorified, like they'll have cabins and stuff, and like,
Yeah.
but it is usually just like we're gonna make bracelets and also
Yes.
be intense. So it is.
It was
It is
like an
glorified.
impressive place though. Like we did
Well, it's like
archery and rock climbing.
NCS.
What's NCS?
I think it's what it's called. Basically, it's kind of a tangent, but basically, it's a summer thing where for 4 weeks, you do 1 week like camping. You do 1 week like in a university halls. You do 1 week like, and then you do 2 weeks at home, I think. And basically, the whole point is it's basically it's like a summer camp. NCS, and it's great. It got started by the government, and it's only £50.
I just saw it. You're all in for £50.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
that's very. It is it is really cool. But like the only issue, well, like obviously because I like went to America, I couldn't do NCS, and I'm too old now. But
You could pass for 16.
I don't know whether to be offended or not. So, do you not see my
Yes.
glasses? I look like an old man. Which, by the way, these aren't prescription, but they're also not just for show. They're blue light glasses. So they block
Okay.
blue light. Because I've been getting increased headaches because of how long I'm at my computer for. So instead of
Oh no.
getting up and not looking at my computer, I bought glasses. To stop me getting headaches.
Because
Anyway.
going outside is for losers.
Going outside is for chumps.
Yeah, unless you're going to camp, I bring it around
Going to
full
camp. Wow,
circle.
full circle. Um,
So,
but yeah, so that's kind of another reason why I got kind of attached to this. And then basically the idea is they rent this rickety old camp, just off just on a lake somewhere. And the kids just did what they wanted. And Dennis, the adult, was literally, he said, because Mud says to him, like, you going to the cabin by the lake? And he goes, yep, see you in 8 weeks. And it was basically just, okay, bye, I'm gonna go chill for 8 weeks in this cabin,
yeah,
see you later. Which
yeah. The
that's
kids
what you
find
want as a
this
kid, though, because you're like, I want zero supervision to do whatever I want, and just I just have loads of money because we have all the parents' money who paid for camp. So this is what I wanted to bring up with you. Unless you have a point that you want to say beforehand, because I have
Well,
quite a lot to say.
I was just gonna say they go to this hippie commune from the
Yeah, you
70s, and it's like this big
60s.
cabin, and the 60s, yeah, yeah. And they're like, this is the perfect place because they have there are 4 of them, so they have $12,000, which is a lot of money for 4 kids to have. They rent out this huge area,
Especially in the 90s as well.
and yeah, and they think to themselves, great, perfect. We're gonna have 8 weeks just for us 4 do whatever we like.
Oh yeah, but then every single person in their school pretty much hears about it. And so because of that, they were all like, "We'll tell your parents if you don't let us in on it." And so they did. They had these bunch of kids there, which was very, very cool. So this is what I wanted to talk about. Mo Berry says it was very Lord of the Flies. Yes, and this is what I wanted
Yeah.
to talk about. Mo Berry, I think this is just for you. I think you're the only one who would have heard of this. You might have even gone. I doubt you would have because you didn't tell me about it, and I would have been really interested. But anyway. So, the year 1980, right?
Okay. I'm gonna set in for this story.
Yeah,
I'm
set
ready.
in for the story. The year is 1980,
Okay.
and there is a disgraced stockbroker by the name of Gene. Now, Gene was no longer like allowed to be a stockbroker. He had a stockbroking like firm, but he got completely like cast aside from it. And so he was like, right. So what he did was he made a skiing resort. And this skiing resort, was quite popular, but obviously there was an off season because I think it was before 1980. I think it was actually late 70s because yeah. So anyway, so in the late 70s, he realized there's an off season because during the winter you can ski, but during the summer there's no snow. So he like renovated a new way, like innovated a way of like making fake snow, from a repurposed jet plane. Yeah. Here's where it gets interesting. He
Amazing.
realized there's an off season. So what did he do? It's a big going down, and it's fun. He made an amusement park. But he didn't want it to be any amusement park. He wanted it to be a water park. So he made this water park. And that park was in Vernon, New Jersey, and it was called Action Park.
Oh, I've heard of Action Park.
Action
Oh no.
Park was this lawless land where this guy Gene would just hire a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds and made these rides completely, like, he accepted basically anyone who wanted to pitch a ride idea. They were just approved by Gene. But he would always tinker himself. He would do it himself. He would add his own little stuff. And he wouldn't hire engineers. He would hire people who, like, kind of were in the amusement park world a little bit, but got fired from it, basically. So, Mo Berry, tell me, have you ever been to Action Park in Vernon, New Jersey? I doubt it, because your mother probably wouldn't have let you. I know your mother. Anyway, so it was this lawless land where you never went. That's upsetting.
No.
I would have loved Loved her. But it was completely lawless, and Gene was the worst human being in the world. Everyone called him Uncle Gene, but he was terrible. What he would do when he made something called the Cannonball Loop, right? Which is this water slide which literally just goes down and then does an entire loop and then comes out at this little pool. It was not long enough. But
Was there a movie based about this?
it
That
was
Johnny
called
Knoxville was in?
it was called Action Point.
Yeah.
With
Action Point.
with Johnny Knoxville. I watched a documentary on it yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But Gene was a terrible person. There were so many injuries all the time, and they kept getting sued. And what he would do is he would take every single one of them to court, and he would win 93% of the time. He never he never settled. He went to court every single time. So he also didn't want to pay for insurance. He was like, well, if they get hurt, they should pay for it. But he had to be insured because of the state of New Jersey. They legally had to. He made a fake insurance company called London and World Insurance, and just no one caught on. He had this phony insurance place. Hi, Sammy. Hey, how you doing? It's nice to have you back. We're just talking about the film Camp Nowhere. But yeah, it's great to see you again. So what he would do is he had he had a phony insurance. He designed most of the rides himself. He would pay kids who worked at the park. He would pay them $100 to test his untested rides.
Oh no.
So he would give them $100 if they just were basically test dummies. And this
$100 goes a long way.
I get in the early 80s, yeah, to a 16-year-old. Are you kidding me? That's infinite money. So they tested the Cannonball Loop. This is I could do an entire 3-hour podcast just on this man. He was insane. I highly recommend this documentary. It's just called Class Action Park.
Nice,
very
very
good documentary. Only 6 deaths. Don't see the problem. Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to talk about as well. So,
wow.
The first death was in 1980, and I want you to tell me when you think the park closed.
In all honesty, I'm gonna say 97.
You're so close. It was 96.
Damn.
When this park closed. You were so close. But that's 16 years after its first death. But they did it wrong. They had faulty equipment. They set up this slide near some rocks that they got told that they had to move the rocks. They didn't move the rocks, but the way that they won it in court was basically the rocks were technically 25 feet away, but he rolled down the hill, hit his head on the rocks, and he didn't make it. That was the first death. But because the rocks were 25 feet away, that had nothing to do with them. Even though it was their slide and it had nothing to do with them. Yeah. Anyway.
People are dicks, man.
He would pay them $100 to go down this Cannonball Loop, right? The first time it was bad. They didn't have enough padding, so they hit against it, and he was like, right, okay, so we put more padding in it. Then the next time they would come out with lacerations. They would come out with cuts all over the body, and they had no idea why. They were like, why are they getting cut? So they go to the top bit of the loop. They take one of the panels off. It's because there was teeth stuck there from the first people who went there. God. Got their teeth stuck, so people went by and basically scratched themselves on these people's teeth. Horrifying, absolutely horrifying. Yeah, but that's what I wanted to talk about.
How would you not notice you've not lost teeth?
So, the year is 1994. 2 years before Action Park gets shut down, right?
Camp Nowhere.
Camp Nowhere
is released.
But I like it because people were seeing the writings on the wall towards the end, towards the sort of mid '90s. So people stopped going. Was it West Virginia? No, it was New Jersey. It was Vernon, New Jersey. Um,
Everything is legal in New Jersey.
Everything is legal in New Jersey. But yeah, it was Vernon, New Jersey. That's why I was wondering if Mo Berry had gone, because I know that they have family in New Jersey. And
Should we do the rest of the podcast
so-
in a Jersey accent?
No.
Just to be as offensive as we could be.
But do you mean like Jersey, England?
Oh, we can.
No. Anyway.
I mean, like New Jersey. Like...
No, stop. Don't.
Okay, I will.
I really don't want you to do it. But anyway, that's why I was wondering if Mo Berry had gone, or if they knew someone who went, because they were kind of close enough. And like for water parks and theme parks and stuff, you'll travel the extra distance, like, you know, because it's a day out.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if, because it didn't close until '94. So I didn't know if they ever went. But apparently they didn't, which makes sense now. But I don't know if you had any family or anything who went. But anyway, so
Probably a good thing.
So
too,
1994, this park is closing down, or it's definitely running its course. Camp Nowhere comes out, where it's I probably knew people who won't, but no one ever spoke about it. Oh, okay, crazy. But yeah, it was absolutely insane. Yeah, so 1994, this film comes out, and it's showing like Fight Club. Yeah, kinda. But it's showing like.
Yeah,
And that's,
I was gonna say one day you'll get this out.
One
I
day I
believe
will.
in you.
Anyway, but it's kind of
1994.
giving this.
Can't know where it comes out.
Yeah, it's giving this like last. I don't know, almost hurrah to showing like kids just do whatever they want. Like, because they had no rules in Action Point. Like, in Action Park, sorry. Action Point is the film that Johnny Knoxville made. And it's funny, he said that he got more hurt on Action Point than any other thing that he's ever done.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I just a really side tangent really quick. I really like all the Jackass guys, but I hate Jackass. Like
That's so fair.
Jackass makes me feel physically ill, but like I love Steve-O's like stand-up and stuff. Like Steve-O does really good stand-up, and he has a really cool YouTube channel. It's definitely off the rails, but like just quick tangent. I love all those dudes. They're awesome, but like I hate Jackass because it makes me feel ill.
How many Star Trek canon actors were in Camp Nowhere? Do you know what's really interesting? I think I looked this up yesterday.
Why? Why did you look this up?
I don't know why, but I know that there was an actress who was in the movie that was in it from like seasons 2 to 7 for Next Generation or something long like that. I'm gonna say like 4. I want to say like 4.
I don't know because I've never seen any episodes of Star Trek, so I'm not even gonna guess. I don't know. So 1994. Anyway, my point is, it's coming to the end of this action park where kids can just do whatever the hell they want. So, I feel like this film is great because in the end it shows that's a bad idea. It is a terrible idea to let kids do what they want. I don't know if you know this, Seb. You might, but kids are stupid.
No, that's not true.
I know.
Show me the evidence.
Show me the evidence. I have a scar permanently on the back of my hand, because I thought, hey, I don't need to wear any protective clothing when I'm longboarding on a main road. There's your proof. I was
cool.
14 at the time. Oh my god, I didn't get the notification saying you're streaming. I love your hair. That is absolutely no worries. We are talking about Camp Nowhere, which is a 1994 film. It's on Disney Plus. It was released technically under like Hollywood Motion Picture or something. But it was owned by Disney. It's like Nightmare Before Christmas. That film was released under Touchstone, which was owned by Disney because Disney thought it was too dark to be released on Disney, so they released it under Touchstone, and then it became a cult classic, so Disney are like, no, what are you talking about? We've always loved it. Because it did well. We've always loved it. Also, I'm not sure if anyone noticed, but because we're talking about a camp film, I'm wearing a flannel.
Well, also, I was going to mention that the 90s costume really shows through because all of the kids are wearing flannel shirts
Oh
and
yeah.
like
No, it's great.
headbands at one point and stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh. Um, so, but every kid from school shows up with their money for camp. And so they decide, okay, we'll let you all stay, but there are some ground rules. Um, number one, well, actually, we should mention too, Zach takes the credit for the idea.
He
Zach
does.
says that it was his idea, which in all honesty, it kind of was his idea,
Yeah.
but
But
the
Max
mastermind
put
behind it all is
absolutely
obviously Mud.
everything together. Yeah. But Mud put everything
You,
together. I
you
don't know why
keep
I keep
calling
calling
him,
Max.
yeah.
But Mud put it all together.
I think we're thinking of a Goofy movie, which is what we should 100%
I
cover next
so
week.
am.
Yeah, classic Goofy movie. Um, so their ground rules are obviously if anyone comes up to you in the mall,
Say you don't
say you
speak
don't
English.
speak English, which already
Yeah.
is like, okay.
And like the first ground rule is like, because it's like try and keep a low profile.
Yeah.
If anyone sees you in public, tell them you don't speak English. And third, and this one's very, very important, please tell me if anyone finds a Taco Bell.
Yeah, Mud's so funny. And like,
I think Mud is just one of my favorite characters, and I absolutely love I love when 90s kids have nicknames that are nonsensical.
yeah, absolutely.
Because, like,
Um,
it's not even like he's like, oh, I don't like being called Mud. Everyone just calls me that as a derogatory thing. Like, he introduces himself as Mud. He doesn't introduce himself as Morris, which I quite like. And apparently there was two, according to Nige TP,
Okay.
who's definitely not my dad. Captain Janeway from Star Trek Voyager and Number One Commander Riker from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Can you tell me how long they were on the show for? Because I know there was one that was quite a big. Well,
Yeah.
I saw it
Yeah.
on IMDb.
Yeah, now you're getting the pop quiz.
Yeah, flip
Take
dot on
that.
its head.
Take that, viewers. Cool.
Yeah,
So So these kids, the way that we kind of turn into the like money situation. So these, if you think about it, this is like a whole class. There's at least 30 to 35 kids here, right? And all of them go to a camp that costs like $3,000, which, by the way, insanity. So that's what. So let's run the numbers real quick. So that's $3,000 by 30 kids. That's what, $9
$9 million.
nine. Well, I want to say 90,000.
Oh, sorry. So 3,000 times 30 is 90,000.
Yeah, it is 90,000. I thought it was.
$90,000.
7 years each apparently, and Mud was a character from, I don't know what TOS is, but and then The Next Generation. I thought I was so cool because I knew that your abbreviation meant the Next
TOS
Generation.
is the original series.
The original series. Okay, cool. Apparently. Also, Riker was in several movies and appeared in Picard. Cool.
But he got his start out of nowhere.
Bringing it back.
Or she. I don't know if it's a.
Yeah, I've never seen Star Trek. I'll say that again.
Yeah, just.
But we digress. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
not my dad.
they're playing like they're playing like a tag in the dark with flashlights.
Yeah, and
normal
then
kid
at 2
activities.
a.m. and they say, "Oh my god, it's 2 a.m. We're still awake. This is insane," and they're all fully clothed. And I remember watching that, thinking like,
Thank you for pointing out that they're all fully clothed at this point.
no, but just the reason I say that is because like they're not in pajamas or anything. They're all just wearing their clothes. And
Yeah.
it's 2 a.m. And the reason I bring it
Okay.
up is because I was watching that and I was like, I miss when it was 2 a.m. and I think like, oh my god, I'm staying up too late and not right now be like, oh, it's 2 a.m. I should probably try and go to sleep, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Why have you got to
I'm
hurt my
touched.
feelings like
Why are you
this?
gonna hurt my feelings like this? I just got reminded that, oh yeah, do you remember when like staying up was fun and not because you couldn't fall asleep? Anyway, they come across this like old car and it's so funny to me when Zach goes, Nah, it's not a pile of junk. It's an antique. We can restore
Yeah.
it. That's my Joey Wheeler impression from Yu-Gi-Oh. Yug.
God, jokes.
Um.
Joey.
Anyway, um. So they find the car. He's like, we can restore it, but it's gonna cost. And that's what made me laugh. I love that line because it's so stupid. It's like you find a definitely desolate, destroyed car, and you're like, we can restore it with money. We have the technology. It's like you're 14.
Yeah, oh yeah, they point out like, you know how to fix a car, and he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
and then they don't
And they
question it
don't
ever again.
No, well, it's at one point he's like, because you're not old enough to get your driver's license, and he goes, you can be 14 in Tijuana, and it was just like,
Yeah.
why do you know
And
that?
she's like, why do you know what it like? What do you plan to go to Tijuana?
Yeah,
He's
are
like,
you gonna go to
yeah.
Mexico? He goes, maybe. Oh, so stupid. Anyway, so we, come to this, this car, and then it dawns on Zach, like, hey, how much money do we actually have? Because Mud has just been holding on to it, because I'm guessing they gave it all to Dennis. Dennis got his cut, and then they just kept the rest of the money. So then what happens is Mud pulls out the wallet to just show heapins of cash, just a lot of money. Because, like I said,
I want to say
$90,000.
$90,000.
That's roughly.
Just to
We don't know that they're paying $3,000 each, because what it could have
That
been
is true.
is they said, oh well, that counts $3,000. Mine's better, and it's only $2,000. Like, you know what I mean? They might have done that. So 90,000 is an extremely rough estimate, but even still, a lot of money. And so Mud pulls out his wallet.
And I just want to point out, I was going to say, yeah, he pulls out his wallet, and all of these kids just start grabbing at the wallet. And it's like, how do you know how much money you've just taken from that wallet? You could be taking,
You're out of sync, by the way.
$15,000. Oh. Is that better?
Yep, that's the
Hello?
doing a podcast over Discord.
Yeah, classic. Hopefully it will get fixed eventually. But yeah, you could have taken out $15,000 in that one hand that you just grabbed.
Yeah, and so they're all just.
I don't get it.
And then the creepiest the creepiest scene happens where they're all like, "Give us the money, Mud," and Mud's like, "I reckon I'd hold on to it. We need to keep a low profile," and they all become like murder hobos, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Give me all the money, Mud." And so they all take money,
Mud.
and he goes, "Okay, but try and keep a low profile." And then cut to the scene where they honestly unload the most amount of toys and stuff that I've ever seen in my entire life. And my favorite line from this section of the film is when this guy just has just has an opened ready and primed chainsaw. So it wasn't in a box. He just pulls out this loose chainsaw and goes ring, and then and he just says, "Who had the chainsaw?" And it was like, what?
Yeah, so they bought a TV.
That's not how you deliver things. They bought a TV. One
Yeah.
kid bought. So this I
An electric
actually had
guitar.
a discrepancy here, because he is shown with two different guitars, in the film. One is a PV with it's a PV Super Strat with dual humbuckers and a single coil, and
Did you look this up?
No,
Or-
I just knew that because I'm a loser.
Okay.
And this is also where it comes from. He had a Floyd Rose, which, if you know what a Floyd Rose is, I apologize if I'm alienating like all of my audience. But basically, a Floyd Rose. So I actually have a visual aid. No, I'm not.
This is the more
not
you
gonna-
know segment.
I'm not going to
about
get my
the
guitar
podcast.
out. Oh, this is perfect. Right. Let's use this Guitar Hero guitar as to show. So, can I get an hour? I've been playing Clone Hero, which is like Guitar Hero, but.
I have my guitar right next to me as well.
Oh yeah,
Like,
we could have done that. No, we found the model.
Okay.
And no one has more than one guitar. Look. No, that's not my point, Dad. Shut up. So my point is, I know
I have two.
I have too
three.
many. I have too many guitars. How many do I have in this? All right, how many do I have in this room compared to how many do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 in this room. I've got 6 guitars in this room, and I think I've in total actually got 8. No, and then if we include
Is that including the Guitar Hero guitar?
no, and that's including if no, so 7 with the Guitar Hero guitar. Anyway, point being, it has Floyd Rose. So we're on a normal guitar, the strings get put in at the bridge, and then they get tightened up here by the tuning pegs, and it's all fine. On a Floyd Rose, they get permanently locked in place, and you need to use an Allen key to actually adjust anything and actually tune it. But then once you do that, it stays in tune forever. This kid just gets handed a guitar, to which he says this is better than the cello. So he doesn't even know how to play the guitar, and he just plays it. But the reason I'm annoyed is that
Hey, it's the 90s.
No, but he's showing me 2 different guitars and 4 different amplifiers. And one of them is a PV5150, which even in the 90s would have been a lot of money. And I'm just bitter because I don't have a PV5150 and I want one.
And also, he's got a British accent. He's the only British kid.
He's the only kid with a British
in the
accent
movie.
because he's the cool rocker boy. So he
from the
you've
Rolling
got 3
Stones.
here, haven't you? Well, technically I've got 2 because the bass and the electric guitar that I have over there are mine, but the acoustic and the Parker Fly are technically not mine because they're technically Moberry's guitars and they're not mine.
Technically
speaking. Well, it's because she
Yeah.
doesn't. She has problems with her hands. She can't play them much. And so I play them when I go over there just to make sure they're still taken care of. So they're not technically
just to
mine.
make ssure they still work.
No, it's not that. Like guitars are like anything. You need to, you can't just leave them in a place.
Yeah.
You have to use them. Like you have to make them. You have to wear them in.
Like a muscle.
So they're like a muscle. And I will say this though, she has a Martin guitar, and I'm not sure if you ever played a Martin, but they're the acoustics, and it is the nicest guitar I've ever played in my life.
I've been able to play them once when I taught at a school in Southampton.
Nice.
And the music teacher there didn't trust any of the kids with it.
No, they were
but
like
he would-
$1,000.
And he had to bid on it.
Nice.
And I was able to play it, and it was the best guitar
Yeah,
I've ever held in my
Hands
life.
down, Martins are the best acoustic guitar. Oh,
Yeah.
they miss me apparently. The guitars over there miss me. So I mean, if we're going with the one on the wall and the acoustic, if they are mine, then I've technically got 4 over there. So that means that I would have 12 total. I have a problem.
Sammy would have done really well in music camp, I think.
Shut
Speaking of camp, no,
up. Camp Nowhere. Look,
Camp Nowhere.
they're not.
To be
here,
fair, though,
they're
like-
not here to talk about Camp Nowhere. They're just here
Well,
to
this
watch us
is
twiddle.
that's true. Well, this is why I kind of love this podcast, is we can talk about anything,
We can.
and it's still related to this movie, to the movies.
Sure. But he plays it really well immediately, and he has 2 different ones and the 4 different amplifiers, and also he's not playing with a pick, but he's clearly playing a riff that needs a pick.
He could have really long fingernails.
So he's clearly not playing the guitar, and that's just so painfully obvious in films. Because I was going to make a film with Seb,
Yes, yeah.
called Bum Note, before like lockdown and everything got extended and triple extended, and so.
Well, we did plan to make it over the summer this year.
It depends on because we have another module. This is film related, so sorry. But it's anyway. We were gonna make a film called Bum Note, which I wrote, which is just about a down on his luck musician who's trying to care for him and he's the sole guardian of his sister. But when I was trying to cast the film or help cast the film, I was like, look, we need someone who is good at acting, good at singing, and decent at playing the guitar, and we couldn't find anyone, so we had to deal with Seb.
So he asked me. I knew you would go that way. That's why I started laughing before you even finished.
But because Seb, well, it's funny when you said when you used to teach guitar, I was like, who the hell would trust you to teach guitar? Someone needs to teach you guitar, but I thought that was too mean.
It's true. Well, I got entrusted to a group of kids, dude. Like that's.
Oh, me too. I used to teach
I've
drums.
not even grown up myself.
I teach drums, guitar, and bass to kids when I was 17. When I was 17, they allowed me
gosh.
alone with kids to teach them instruments. I didn't hit a single one of them, but trust me, I wanted to. Anyway,
But yeah, there are times when you do.
moving back to the film.
So, so mine is basically like, I can't believe you've done this. I can't believe you've done this.
So basically, what I thought we'd do is. It's the
Huh?
meme. It's from the. I can't believe you've done this.
Oh
Anyway.
yeah, oh yeah. I thought you were gonna be like, I thought what I thought we'd do is skip this bit.
Seb,
I was gonna
look,
be like,
you're,
okay,
you're
yeah.
400 years old.
Um,
Anyway, what were you gonna say about the film?
I am way too old. Mine is basically like, look, this money was supposed to have lasted all of camp.
It super
And
does
so,
though. Like,
which is what I was going to bring up. The biggest flaw I have with this film is they've wasted all of their money on these trucks filled, and you see like what 3 or 4 of these trucks
more.
come in.
There's like 6 trucks that are leaving.
Yeah.
And that is where, when the trucks start leaving, we get introduced to this really stupid cop
Yeah.
who's played by none other than Biff Tannen. I know it's not actually Biff Tannen, but I forget the actor's name again. It's Crispin something.
That's Marty's dad. I'll look it up for you.
I forget. Anyway.
It is.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Who played Biff Tannen?
What
Everyone
was
in
the-
chat. Just look up
What was
Biff,
the character's name?
Just look up Biff Tannen.
Ian Christopher Scott, I think.
Thomas F. Wilson.
Is it
So
Ian
you were way off there.
He's not listed in the cast.
Is he not listed in the cast on IMDb?
Oh, there we go.
Thomas
There we
F.
go. He's right at the bottom.
Okay,
right
Yes.
at the bottom. I'm looking at the Wikipedia.
But anyway, it's yes. So Thomas F. Wilson, he plays the police, the bumbling police chief, which I didn't realize. I had no idea. I didn't remember. But this is almost this is like 8 years after the first Back to the Future was released, and it's Doc and Biff Tannen in the same film, and that really made me happy because I first saw him he looks downwards, and I was like, no, that can't be. And then later on we see his face, and I'm like, oh my god, it is.
Yeah.
It's the actor who plays Biff Tannen.
And they're only in one scene together.
2, I think.
The cop and Emmett. The
Dennis.
Biff and Emmett.
Yes.
You know.
No, there
You know what I
are
mean.
2, because there's the one at the end and the one where he goes.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
there's
the one at
technically
the
3
end.
because there's also the car wash scene.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
This movie is
this movie's
great.
insane. One thing I wanted to talk about with Dennis's character really quick. So we'll go for another, I'd say 10 minutes, and then we'll go for a quick 10-minute intermission. So one thing about this film that I love about Dennis's character is, once again, because Zach tries to buy beer and he has a fake ID saying that he's 31 years old when he's 14. And he's like, it's for my dad, but he's handicapped. And they're like, no, get the security officer or whatever. And then he goes, there he is, Dad. And then Dennis just goes, son. And then Zach goes, Dad. And so he starts walking with a limp, and I just love that he's so quick with the character, and it's just it's a lot of improv technique. Is the situation of Seb and I are both actors. I'm kind of an actor. Seb's an actor. I'm a wannabe. But you have a degree. But anyway, so yeah, Seb and I, at least Seb's still an actor. I kind of shied away from it.
I dabble.
Anyway,
I do some dabble.
And both of us play Dungeons and Dragons, which, in case you're unfamiliar, it is incredibly heavy on improv, basically. Dungeons and Dragons is basically just improv meets Lord of the Rings and dice, is basically what Dungeons and Dragons is. And And so because of this, I've developed a lot of good improv techniques, which is whatever the person says to you is true. Like, whatever the conversation you're having is true. So, if Seb's character, because I DM mostly, I'm a player for a few games, but if Seb's, said to the DM, so me in the example, like, say I'm playing one of the NPCs, one of the random characters, and I just go, oh, hey Seb, how you doing? And, Seb responds like, oh, you still with Karen, for example, and he's like, oh, Karen and I, hey! Ben290801 dropped a follow. Thank you so much. Welcome to the bowling alley.
Thanks, man.
You can pick up your complimentary pair of bowling shoes and bowling shirt by Doris, our receptionist, who is always on a smoke break.
She hasn't responded for at least a week now, and I'm starting to get a bit worried.
She is either just coming from or just going to a smoke break.
I saw her eating salsa and chips the other day. That was quite nice.
But then she put her cigarette out in it. Anyway, I keep telling her, I keep telling her no smoking inside, but she hissed at me. I can't really understand what she says anymore.
They won't. I later found out they weren't even had chips and dip. There were some kids here for his birthday.
I went to school with you. Cool. So, sick. So,
I also went to school with Sammy.
Technically, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. No, I didn't.
No, because
I taught you at school.
You did. Anyway,
Weird.
so in this interaction, so Seb's character would say, "Oh, you still with Debbie," and then I have to say, "Oh, yeah, me and Debbie split up, yeah, because Dale," and then Seb's now pretending to know who Dale is, and between us through this conversation, we are creating a story and a narrative, which is exactly what happens in improv. Every time you have to approach someone, and it's the yes and thing. And I love that because he's obviously, an ex-drama teacher, and I love that that obviously shows that he's so like, this kid's saying that I've got a bum leg. Okay, I'm walking with a limp now. He's trying to buy a lot of beer, and I have, so I now have to, want a lot of beer. Like, he's yes-anding, mostly to stay out of trouble, and he does it later on with Mud's character, when, he's like, he's got asthma, like, and he's got his inhaler, like, So they're yes-anding with each other, and that is what I love so much, is when Mud is in the equation with him, because when it's the other kids, like, they kind of, like, they're asking Dennis to do everything, and they're, like, telling Dennis what to do, but I love Mud's interactions with him, because they are just riffing off each other. They are, like later on, the cop stops by, and they just want anything. They want the cop to leave more than anything else in the world. So what happens is, he shows up, and then they all, they let him in, and and then as a way to try and get rid of him, what Christopher Lloyd does is he starts coughing uncontrollably, saying that, oh, don't worry, the doctor said it's only, like, mildly contagious, and, like, coughing directly in his face, and
starts scratching his arms. He's like,
he's got eczema.
Don't sit in that chair. It's eczema. I've got eczema.
Yeah,
I think that's what causes my cough.
Yeah, no, he goes, I've got eczema, flakes everywhere. Sit down. No, but sit down. And he points to the chair. He's like, don't sit in that one. And then he goes, oh, go get this man coffee in the blue cup. He goes, no, yours is the blue cup. The green cup is for guests. No, my cup's the green cup. And then they're just screaming at each other. Rain check. I'll come back. And then they leave. And that's just what I love, is because they're having this, like, wonderful, relationship of yes-anding each other, which is what I love about improv.
And a great part in that scene is when a lot of the kids are sat up in the attic kind of area.
They're like literally
like
in the
scaffolding.
rafters. Yeah, they're literally in the rafters.
Yeah.
On the roof.
And one of them drops a donut, and Mud just, like, holds his hand out, and this donut just, like, flawlessly lands in his hand. He just takes a bite, and it's just great physical comedy. But going back to that scene in the grocery store where Zach's trying to buy beer,
yeah,
like, I don't know if you know, but that like in the line, Zach is like, "Oh, I'm buying this beer for my dad, who's in the car,"
Yeah,
and then he turns around, and he's like, "Never mind, he's here, I guess."
he's
Like,
here now. Yeah.
this is my dad, definitely my dad. Which leads into the scene where they drive into the car wash.
The car wash scene is just a lot to get into, so I
It
reckon. So let's
is.
do that after the
Should we?
our little
Yeah.
intermission. So I'm gonna say, we'll be back. I mean, it's 4:22 for me, but obviously I know there's a bit of delay with the
Same for me.
with the Twitch. No, I just mean like it'll.
Oh yeah.
It's like time traveling. I've said this before. But yeah, so we'll come back probably. We'll take a 10-minute break, so we'll come back at 32 minutes past. Maybe we'll call it.
I've just realised something.
What's that?
The screen says tonight's film Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, lol. I forgot to change that. Oh
It's
well.
it's comedy because
It's comedy because Christopher
time
Lloyd
travel.
and Biff Tannen are in this film.
Yes.
No one said anything, so
That is true. That is true.
because we're so enticing, right? So we'll come back. We'll call it 35 minutes past, for
Yeah.
us. So yeah. So we're gonna put you on intermission. Go to the bathroom. Go pee. Go get
Hydration check.
Go get a snack. Have some water. We'll see you guys in about 10.
Yeah. See you soon, guys.
We have to go back.
Let's do that. I think that we gotta, first of all, we have to get out of here as close as well, let's talk about it outside. Yeah. We can pick it up at 10. We'll probably push it by that, right?
We have to go back a little bit. Yeah.
Well, down his dick. Let's do that. Let's go. I think that we gotta, first of all, we have to get out of here as soon as possible. Well, let's try to get outside. Yeah. We can pick it up at 10. We'll probably push it by that, right?
We have to go back a little bit. Yeah.
Well, down his dick. Let's do that. Let's go. I think that we gotta, first of all, we have to get out of here as soon as possible. Well, let's try to get outside. Yeah. We can pick it up at 10. We'll probably push it by that, right?
made it worse.
Hello, everybody. How was your break? Did you have a good intermission?
I did.
I
I got some
changed.
popcorn.
Good. I changed the text for the intermission screen to Camp Nowhere, but I couldn't do it on our actual one because that would just send it back. So I have to do it right now manually and hope that nobody notices.
I mean, you've just pointed out.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody noticed. Cool.
That
That's been there
no,
like
listen, we should definitely
that's-
go back to the future.
that's been like that the whole time.
Yep.
So
Comedy.
comedy. How's everybody doing? Did we all have a good break? Did we all have a good? How's everybody doing? Did we all have a
Doris flicked a cigarette butt at me, which was quite mean, but other than
Yeah,
that, yeah.
no, she keeps doing that. But you know,
Yeah. What were you gonna do?
that's life, I guess. Yeah, cool.
So where we left off, we were talking about
Car wash scene.
yeah, the car wash scene, and this is by far one of the best scenes in the
It's
movie.
so funny, is the thing, but it's also so unnecessary. It's incredibly
Absolutely.
unnecessary. So, what happens in the scene is the police man, who's Biff Tannen, Officer Biff Tannen, is chasing.
Oh.
Everything okay?
Yeah, all good.
Apparently, that's flirting, according to Moberry, when they flicked the cigarette on you.
Oh, that's really nice. She's like 100, I think.
Well, to be fair, I asked HR for her documents, and apparently her national insurance number is just the number 1. So I don't.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, apparently I'm very quiet again. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
I can change that. Hello. How am I sounding? Am I sounding good? Am I sounding better? Am I sounding louder?
I mean, you sound good on my end.
Because it says that I'm peaking is the only reason why I turned it down a bit. It says that I'm too loud on my mixer.
Drop us a message in chat. Ask us. Tell us how it's on your end.
How does it sound on your end?
Because I will. By the way, just as a quick PSA, I will have a mic in a month. In a month.
I gave Seb recommendations for a microphone, and it said it was going to get here on the 14th of February, so yesterday.
Yeah, it was saying it was coming here yesterday, and then I received an email today telling me there had been a change in my order, and they had pushed it back a month, and so it won't come until the 16th of. I picture Doris like the old lady in the waiting room of Beetlejuice.
Oh,
yeah,
100%, yeah.
absolutely.
100%. Seb is very clear.
I'm very
well,
clear.
good for you. God. Anyway, cool. So the car wash scene is one of my favorites, and it's also super unnecessary. So, basically, what happens in the scene, just in case you're unaware, is he closes the door and says to him oh, free on the house. Like, he pretends he works there, and he says it's free on the house, because he's just trying to get rid of him. He's just trying to send him through the car wash. Then what happens accidentally is his trouser leg gets caught in the door, and so he's then hopping alongside with this police car, and what happens is he goes through the car wash. And he's saying, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna walk you through the process." And he's going through, and then he gets he gets water splashed on him. He goes, and we get water that's up to 140 degrees. And it's this beautiful scene, but it is so unnecessary because there is no point of the scene, because he could have said, "Oh, sorry, my leg's caught in your door. Do you mind opening it and closing it again?" And that would have been fine, but we wouldn't have got the hilarity. And then he gets
the point of the scene is also the police officer is looking specifically for a yellow
AMC Gremlin.
I keep wanting to say goblin.
The goblin.
And you know why I want to say the goblin.
Yeah.
The Iron Goblin. And so the kids are going off to hide the car somewhere, so that when the police officer comes out, it's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. So what this results in And I really don't know why my mic is so quiet, but I'm looking on my levels and it says I'm pretty quiet, but I'm turned up all the way, so I don't know what that is. Anyway,
That's strange.
that is strange. Cool. Yeah, because it's like
So,
it's like hard
yeah.
cutting off of like I don't know why
You're
it's
a bit
doing that. That's really weird.
on my end. You're a bit fuzzy.
Yeah, no, it says that I'm peaking on here, but if I turn it down there, then it's gonna be a lot quieter there. So I don't know what to do, but oh
Yeah.
well. We're just gonna have to deal with some jank audio for today. Apparently, I'll have it fixed by next session.
It's okay.
What is my Twitch without technical difficulties? Cool. So yeah. So what? The reasons for the scene, yeah, is that the goblin, damn you, I'm doing it now. The gremlin, because the joke is, he says to the man, like, have you seen any yellow goblins? And he goes, no, but I've seen some blue fairies. Like, that's the joke, because obviously.
Yeah.
Sorry, it said it again. Gremlin. Have you seen any green gremlins? Or no, it was have you seen
Yellow
any yellow
gremlins.
gremlins? And he goes, no, but I've seen some blue fairies.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then what happens is it's so perfect because he thinks that it's over. He gets like the blow dry and goes, and that's the service. And he looks and goes, oh no, and he comes out and he's covered in like this substance, and everyone says, what happened to you? And he says, complimentary hot wax, and that just like beautiful little snippet, like the beautiful little snippet really, really sort of helped. It just, I don't know, it just really worked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's for me that scene was very much like this guy would do anything for these kids. Like it became clear that he cares about them.
It was less about he doesn't want to get caught and he wants the money, and also like I really dig what these kids are doing.
Yeah. Because he mentions about how he's there's a great scene when they go to rent out the hippie commune, and he went, "Oh, I know I've been here before." Like
yeah, because he says people were doing drugs, sex, all here, and they say, and he goes, "I thought I remember this place," and someone was like, "Did you do that here?" And he goes, "No," and he steps like 2 steps to the left, and he goes, "I did it here," and it was so funny.
Yeah, I will admit the dialogue seems very like specifically for these like adult character conversations.
Yeah.
It's very well written. You might turn my mind on this,
Well, on because you thought the film didn't hold up.
Yeah, I thought like rewatching it as an adult, I wouldn't connect with it as much, and I didn't think I did.
Yeah.
But the more I'm thinking about it, I'm more relating to the adult characters now, and I think that was my hold up, was that I found it hard to relate to any of the kids, but I definitely did relate a lot to Dennis. So the next few weeks at camp go by,
and everyone gets bored because it starts raining.
It starts to rain.
And everyone's like, "Oh, we have to be inside. We should just go home." And like he's like, "What are you talking about? We're all gonna die if we go home." And then they say,
like, actually, no.
You wouldn't? Yeah.
Yeah. We would just tell on you because we hate you, Mud, loser.
Damn
and he's
you,
like,
Mud.
What did I do? And so he runs down to Dennis, and he's Oh, actually, it's really important to mention we get introduced to another main character.
To the doctor.
This scene. They create this kind of water slide aspect. And they start judging them, like, there are these like 3 girls who are like holding up.
Yeah, they're like with numbers on it. Yeah, because they're going down. Yeah. The doctor would have reported to the authorities. Yeah, no, but there are nitpicks. But basically, so kids are going down this like ramp into the lake. One kid just rides a bike into it. And then, so, like, this all happens. And then Max, because it's the 4th of July...
Mud.
Because it's the 4th of July...
Mud.
Shut up. The 4th of July, Mud attaches Roman candles to his head, to his helmet, and he says, "Light me!" And he gets lit, and he goes flying down this like on this
The
skateboard
dock, yeah.
to go into the river or into the lake, and he falls over and he really badly burns his arm. And one of the lines was so funny. Someone was like, "Who would have thought that playing with
Yeah.
Roman candles could get anybody hurt?" And it was just so funny.
So good.
Oh my god! Because just
There,
like,
there are some really good lines in this movie.
there are some great lines in this film. Yeah.
Yeah. So they take him to the doctor.
Yeah.
Dennis pretends to be his dad, and they arrive at the doctor. And while Mud is getting seen to, Dennis starts flirting with this doctor, like complete out of nowhere. Just and she's the same actress who played, I think her name's Sister Maria in Sister Act.
Sister Act, yeah.
Very innocent, very sweet, like actress known for being like very friendly characters. And Dennis just does not hold back on the amount of lies that he tells her. Like,
Oh
he goes,
no! Like he literally, like
double barrel.
he's yes-anding right now, like entirely, because he goes, "Oh, the it's hard being a single dad, like working 2 jobs, and just immediately starts lying to her to try and impress her."
Yeah, 'cause she's like, "How did you burn yourself?" And he's like, "Oh, on the stove. We have an old stove. So I
Making
have to help with
breakfast,
dinner."
yeah.
Yeah, and like they're good. Like, lies aren't good. Don't lie, kids.
Don't lie, kids.
But as far as lies go,
It was a good one.
it's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
Like their whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she says that she'll need to. Oh, and this is my favorite line in the movie. I think is she says, I'm gonna need to see you again in 2 weeks." And he says,
Yeah.
"Oh, perfect. I'll bring Mud."
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
that's really like beautiful. Like, oh, good. I'll bring Mud along. Like, yeah, that's the whole point. She needs to check the cast.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
And then they have a dinner together. He comes over for dinner. They make the cabin up all nice, and he says, "We're making green beans," and he's like, "I hate," and Mud is like, "I hate green beans." Da, da, da. And he goes, "Well, fine. I'll give you a green bean for every. I'll give you a dollar for every green bean you eat. $10, 10 beans, $10." And he goes, he said something like, "That's more than the government pays farmers not to grow them."
Yeah. So good.
So good.
Dennis has some of the best quotes.
Oh, he has
in the whole
incredible
movie.
lines in this film.
Like there's this great scene. They come out of the doctor, and Mud has to take these tablets, so like pain medication, or they've got to stop the infection.
Lima beans. Sorry,
And,
it's lima beans apparently, not green
Lima
beans.
beans. Yeah, of course it was. And Dennis is like, "Don't forget to take your pills." And Mud's like, "Yeah, don't forget to take your pills 4 every hour." And Mud's like, "That's 1 every 4 hours." And he's
He
like,
goes, "Oh, I've made that mistake before."
"Yeah, it's so good."
It's honestly, yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, so she comes over. They have dinner together, and I've never had a lima bean. Now that I think about it,
I don't
think.
either, but that's just because my parents loved me.
That is
So I don't know why
Fair
you didn't
enough.
have one, Seb. But
because my parents
your parents hate you.
didn't love me. That's true.
It's a joke, obviously.
Actually, no, I have had a lima bean. Yeah, they're gross.
Damn, you've really got me out here googling lima beans, huh?
I had to Google one to even know what they
Do we
like.
call them anything else? I don't think I've had lima beans. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway.
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 So they do that. And then she comes over for dinner, and then he eats like 70 lima beans.
He's counting them
and he
up.
counts them out loud. And
I've never seen a kid who's so excited by lima beans. That's one of their lines.
no, I saw that it said butter beans online. I still don't know what that is. Yeah. So he's eating them, and then he falls asleep, and and Dennis is like, "Oh, I'll take him to his room," and he just flat out just lays him in the porch.
Yeah.
Because he
He's like,
opens.
I gave him the big one.
I gave him the big room, and he puts him down. The reason that's important is because like a few days later or something, the doctor is driving past and sees this barrage of kids going buck wild and, you know, being insane outside. And she's like, oh, and then she knocks on the door and is like, oh, here we are in Mud's room, because she knocks on the same door that he laid the kid down in. Here we are in Mud's room, and his first reaction was, oh, must have been a tornado.
Yeah, yeah.
He just fully just lying his way out of anything and everything, and
Yeah.
it's just, honestly, I think Dennis is just such a well-written character.
Yeah.
Like, he's a sleazeball, but, like, he always is, you know.
Yeah, but that's why I really love specifically the character of the Doctor as well, and their relationship.
Yeah, I forget
is,
her name.
I did have up a list of all the characters' names, but anyway, I'll make my point while you look it up.
I'll Google it.
They're talking about how Dennis used to be a teacher, and it's the one time we really see him open up to anyone fully, and he's talking about how you know, he used to love, you know, going to school every day and giving exams, because the last question on all of his exams were, what haven't you learnt in this class today?
Her name was Celeste Dunbar. She was Dr. Celeste Dunbar. Okay, continue.
Dr. Dunbar.
Yep.
And she asks him why he quit teaching, and he says, I don't know. I can't think of a single reason as to why I left.
And it's actually because he got fired.
He got fired.
Yeah.
And so she confronts him about it, and she says, you know, was it all a lie? I bet you weren't even a teacher. Like, he's not your kid. And he's like, actually, the teacher bit was true, but no, he's not my kid. Like, you know, I thought I'd give these kids a summer just to have fun, and they've got 2 weeks of camp left. So please.
Yeah, they've only got 2 weeks of camp. You can make sure they're all healthy.
Yeah.
And so she does. But yeah, and she just fully just doesn't say anything, which I think is really funny.
I don't like it.
Yeah, but I don't like it. So this goes on, and then all of the parents want a parents' day. Like, every single one of them is calling them, saying, "Let's have a parents' day," and they're like, "Oh, our goose is cooked. You know, we're screwed. You know, they're on to us." But only 2 more weeks of preteen hedonism.
Hedonism. Yeah.
Hedonism. Sorry.
Yeah.
We've established this. I can't read. Anyway. So, crumbs. What was I talking about?
That should be our word of the week.
We don't have words of the week. We're not losers.
That is true. Yeah, we're not.
Shut up. Anyway,
Yep.
So every single parent's like, we want a parents' day, and Max is like, sorry, Mud. Jesus Christ, Mud says, shut up. Mud says, well, we could, and everyone's like, and they're all yelling, and everyone's like, hey, and then he goes, hey, you know, like the Lego guys in the commercials, and he goes,
yeah. Oh, we should probably bring up the fact that this whole time Zach's been
pretending that he's like a bully,
yeah,
and then not Max's like best friend, Mud's best friend, Mud's best friend.
You said Mud, definitely.
Oh, you've gone out of sync again.
I'll keep talking while I fix this.
Yep.
Dennis and Mud have a conversation early on about how the first rule of acting is to make sure that people can hear you when you speak.
Yeah, it's make sure people can hear you when you speak, and he yells that and scares him.
Yeah, and so they're all trying to have, like, all of the kids are sat and they're like, oh, we could do this. We have this idea, and Mud, you know, being the smartest kid, and this all being his idea. He's like, guys, I have an idea. Can you all be quiet, please? I have an idea. And he finally snaps and he yells at Zach, and all of the kids are like, are you gonna let him talk to you that way, Zach? And
it's like, shut up, meathead, and then continues there. Speaking of Dennis's like famous lines, one of my favorite lines is him going, because Winston Churchill is playing on the the record player, and he goes, who's this? He goes, it's Winston Churchill, which, by the way, in this scene, he's got a magnifying glass taped to a hairband, which he is picking out jelly beans individually and then sorting them nonsensically. He's not even sorting them by color. If you actually watch that scene, he's putting them into a bigger jar, that
That's
it's
'cause he's
not
insane.
sorted. He is insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's wearing this getup, and he says, Mud's like, "Oh, who's this?" And he goes, "This is Winston Churchill." And he goes, "Who's that?" And he goes, "The Jimi Hendrix of the spoken word." And then he goes, "Who's Jimi Hendrix?" And he goes, "The Michael Jordan of the electric guitar." And I just absolutely love that he just, had all of these references just ready to go.
I love it. And like, there's also this side plot in the movie where Zach and Trish, who is the theatre preppy girl, they have like this weird relationship for like
Yeah.
14-year-olds.
And also, instead of saying very, she says Trey, because it's French.
Yeah. Oh, she's by far the worst character in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I hate her. Which is probably the point of the character. But yeah, so Zach's pretending to be this tough guy, and there's a scene where there's this little girl, and I have a lot to say about this scene because you know the one I'm talking about. She's scared, she's homesick, she wants to go home, and she says like, I want to go home.
That isn't the girl. That's
that's not
a
Trish, that's this little girl.
different, like, younger girl. She's
Trish is watching this happen.
Yeah.
And he says, "You can help me clean this carburetor if you want." And she says, "I want to make a necklace." And so he gets these like nuts and bolts out of this can
and just
and
puts on a
starts
piece
stringing
of
them onto
wire.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, "Here, like this," and she's like, "Yeah." Do you want to know something really interesting about this scene?
What's that?
So the guy who plays Zach,
Oh, we're getting into this.
as
okay.
we have mentioned before, has started his own religious
No, we
cult.
didn't. We haven't talked about that. Which I don't know how we haven't talked about it.
Yeah. Okay. So the guy who plays Zach started his own religious cult, about free love.
Called the
And
Full Circle?
Full Circle,
Or
I think. I think
Freedom
he was
Circle. I mean, it might have been
yeah.
Freedom Circle.
And so let's not go into that whole thing.
We can go into
But
it.
did you know something else?
What's that?
The young girl opposite him also joined a religious cult when she was his age. That's some fun trivia for you.
Oh, thank you for that. But yeah, because
so it's
he
just this-
called it like an open religion, but like everyone else in the
Yeah.
media called it a cult.
Yeah, it's genuinely just a cult. Also, the same actor who was in 10 Things I Hate About You. He played the jerky jock character.
Yeah. What's it? The kids. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Moberry says, "Wow, yeah, I know, right? Like,
Wait, let me Google cult.
90s kids, man.
Was it
90s
'cause
kid actors.
No, it is the Full Circle. It is in 2014.
Full Circle.
Andrew Keegan founded Full Circle, a community spiritual center based in Venice, LA. Vice characterized the organization as a new religion, while other news outlets referred to it as a cult.
Yeah. I think it's still going, but I think they
Oh, it's so
They had to-
funny.
The only reason I know about this is because there was an advert that came up on YouTube where he asked for donations.
That's
or he did like an
ridiculous.
interview. So yeah, at the end of this, Zach and Trish like kiss or something.
Yeah,
Because she's like, "You're not as bad as you like everyone thinks that you are."
I'm not
And he's
scared
like,
of you.
Yeah. And then it comes to light that yeah, he really isn't that bad because he's not going to beat up Mud, which is
It was the 90s. It was a different time.
the difference between a cult and a religion is the number of followers. We're getting into some deep stuff
Getting
here.
into some deep politics.
Yeah. I'd also say that a cult often, does it for oh, actually no.
Oh,
Yeah.
churches do it for monetary gain.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. But that's neither here nor there. So Mud comes up with the idea.
He does.
Well, if they want to come and see their kids at these camps, then let's give it to them. Like let's
Let's give them
create
another.
these camps for real.
Let's give them Parents' Day, and in
I
this
put it to you.
scene, okay,
Why is it that all of these kids only had the choice of 4 camps, and all of them fit into these specific camps? Like,
because there's 4 main characters, Seb.
yeah, yeah. Do you know what? I'm genuinely willing to accept that
as an answer.
as an
Because
answer.
imagine if you were writing that script. Imagine you were writing that script, and you're like, okay.
I really wish I wasn't.
Oh my goodness, God! I'm getting such like young librarian vibes when I wear my glasses.
You do look like I feel like a pirate, so
Oh, it's
stupid.
striped shirt, right? I was like,
Yeah, striped shirt.
I thought you were just gonna be like, yeah, because I stole some buried treasure. I was like, what are you talking about?
Because I pillaged this city and now I'm gonna go on my ship. Like what?
Yarg.
But yeah, like I don't know like the premise of this movie is really good until you break it down.
Well, that's the same with anything though, because I also recently watched The Martian. Which have you seen The Martian?
I've seen The Martian.
Oh, it was incredible. I loved The Martian.
Yeah,
I loved
it's a good movie.
I loved how snarky he was. I loved everything about that film. I was impressed that camps had in-person rep visits and not just brochures. Yeah, right. They had like these heads of the camp went to these. Also, none of the parents talked to each other. Like none of them were like, "Hey, what's it?"
Bless you.
Because
you know,
it was told that he was a drama teacher a year or two prior. Also, he worked at the Cheese Whiz stand in the mall, so people would have gone to the mall. How the hell did not? Because they all ended up like going to each other's houses or something, like as the representative, and not one of the parents was like, "You taught my older daughter or my older son in drama. What are you doing here?"
Trish says
or if one
her
of them
sister had him for drama.
Yeah, but none of them just. Well, to be fair, that kind of makes sense though for the Trish's parents because Trish's parents were horrible.
Yeah, that is true.
Gesundheit or however it's spelled. Jeez.
Yeah, bless you.
Thank you. But yeah, none of them were like, "You taught my kid, and you're a disgraced teacher," or none of them were like, "You work at the Cheese Whiz stand. Why are you dressed up like this? What?" But all of them are just like, "Yeah, this is it."
They're like, this seems like a completely normal guy that I would trust with my children. I mean, to be fair, like as I said before, the 90s was definitely a different time. You know, it was before like a lot of like Stranger Danger was still a thing, but like I feel like
it's the John Mulaney joke, and I hate that we've now referenced the John Mulaney joke in both. We've had two podcasts, and John Mulaney has come up both times.
That should be our link to all movies.
That should be our link to all movies. But he says, my parents would believe any adult over me. Like somewhat, like an adult would take me by the hand to my parents and say, "This young boy bit my penis," and he'd be like, "John, is that true? Did you bite this man's penis?" It's like, "Does anyone want to ask why his penis was near my biters?" Also, oh no, you're back. Never mind, you were frozen for a bit.
I can see on the stream. Yeah, I was for a very long time.
Yeah, but I was doing a bit, so it's fine.
Yeah, it looked like I was really interested in your bit.
But yeah, so yeah.
And it should be mentioned
I just absolutely love that no one was like, "You taught my daughter in drama. Why are you dressed up like a Frenchman?" Or, "Hey, you work at the Cheese Whiz."
Yeah. Speaking of Cheese Whiz, this is where we also get a call back to the Bulldog Insurance Agency.
Yes.
This whole time, I've forgotten his name already.
T.R.
Emmett, I think his name is.
Well, the actor's name is Emmett, but it's
okay, that's probably why.
T.R. Polk is the.
T.R. Polk has tracked down Dennis to his old work at the Cheese Whiz place, and he finds a postcard that Dennis has sent to Cheese Whiz, just telling him, "Hey guys, I'm on vacation. Have fun without me. Can't wait until I go back on vacation again."
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them couldn't even tell their kids apart. So exactly. Like Trish's dad specifically just didn't know which kid was which, or just thought that.
And he only cared about when he was
Caitlin,
like,
I think.
We could go to France for 8 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we could extend our trip to Europe.
Yeah. It's like, God.
Which is, I absolutely love when I see in TV that people say they've gone to Europe, because I'm like, did you go to Barcelona or Bridge North? Like,
yeah.
Like, what do you mean Europe.
Yeah.
Like, did you?
I
did
spent a full weekend in Surrey. Like,
yeah, no, yeah. It's like, did you go to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, or like did you go to Paris? Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean Europe?
I spent a week hunting
like-
ducks in Portsmouth.
Because when people say like, oh, I'm spending a month in Europe, then I'm like, okay, then you're just going down a bunch of different countries. But if someone tells me, oh yeah, I spent a week in Europe or a weekend in Europe, I'm like, where? Like, that's not
Yeah. In all of Europe, everywhere.
all of Europe.
All
Yeah,
of them. At the same time.
every single one of them. But yeah, so
Each
we-
and every
so we-
Europe out there.
each and every Europe. Hey, shout out to my Europes. But
Classic Europe.
classic Europe. So we cut to the Parents' Day, which they decide to have. By the way that they decide to have it is like, right, well, what we'll do is we'll tell them, oh, get there at noon. But when they show up, we'll say that it started at 9, and so they missed most of the day, so that we only have to fool them for 15, 20 minutes, and then they'll go home. So the plan is going swimmingly. I love scenes like this just in any film where it's the montage. In screenwriting, it's called Fun and Games. It's the section of the beat sheet called Fun and Games where everything's just going right and you're about to triumph. I would recommend reading Save the Cat if you haven't, Seb.
Okay.
It's very, very good, and it talked a lot about emotional beats in films and stuff. And that's just anyone out there who's interested in film. I highly recommend reading Save the Cat. I don't
The
read.
last book on screenwriting you'll ever need.
Yeah, no, it's very good for screenwriting, and it's used all the time in my screenwriting classes.
All right.
But anyway, so there's a thing called a beat sheet, which breaks up every single film you've ever seen can be broken up into 14 sections. Whether that be like metaphorically or physically, like there are moments in every film. Anyway, so this beat sheet. So I always love this section in films when they're all like building something, or like there's a montage. Like, think of like the scene of like it's ours this time from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
It's the scene where they're building things and they're like setting a plan and setting a trap. Like, I always love that. That always gives me the childhood sense of giddiness of like, yeah, they're gonna trick these stupid parents. Like every time, it always just pumps me up.
Well, it's the for me, the one that always stands out to me is the one in Home Alone where he starts running back from the church.
Yeah.
And it's intercut with him
You've
setting stuff
frozen
up,
again.
and it's got
Oh.
that awesome score.
Oh no, you're fine.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're fine.
Here. I keep freezing it. I can see it on my stream. Yeah, it's got that awesome score of like him running, and it's just so perfect. And you just inside, you're like, yes, it's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
let's do it.
So they're all like setting up, and it comes to the day of the parents getting there, and it all goes off without a hitch. I'm gonna breeze past this because I'm assuming that you've watched it. But yeah, it breezes past. It flies by swimmingly. Like they change the flags to be.
They changed the sign with rockets.
Yeah. I was just thinking about Home Alone, and then you said it. Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Must be true for Simple Minds too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is
Or Simple Plan.
Okay. Anyway, so shut up.
I'm just a kid.
Life is a nightmare. So I got an oi in chat. Anyway, so yeah. So the sign's getting changed and it's going off swimmingly, and I love the scene when they're at the theater camp and it's the last number of Annie, and they all say, "Look, it's packed in there. Like, there's no more room, there's no more space, but you can watch from the sidelines." So they all, watch from the side, and they, sing an awful rendition of Tomorrow from Annie.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Like, oh, pitch, don't know her. Like, it was terrible. Anyway.
Is Tomorrow even the last number from Annie?
it's been so long since I've watched Annie. But yeah, and then and then the dad says, "Oh, yeah, I loved it. I loved that opening number, which was perfect because obviously, and it's always going perfectly until unfortunately Polk shows up because he figures out that that's where he is. They conveniently pull the right lever to like bring down all the props, and everyone's like, "Whoa, what's all this?" And then they get caught. That's the big.
And he
like,
teams
thing.
up with the police officer. They're both looking for the same car.
T.R. Polk. It's very,
like,
very Blues Brothers, where in the end of Blues Brothers, every single person wants to kill them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we come to the end, and they get caught, and so Dennis is like packing his car, and he's like, "I'm booking it. I'm getting out of here." And, and he says to Mud, because Mud's like, I don't know what to do," and he says to Mud, "Right, here's what you do. You run off into the woods, 5-6 hours. When your parents finally found you, they'll be so happy you didn't get eaten by a bear. They'll forgive you for everything." And he goes, "I guess," and he's very obviously unsatisfied with that answer, because he's like, after all this time, I thought Dennis would always be there for me, but he's just about to hightail it out of town. So he packs up the gremlin, gets into it.
This is one of the reasons why I love Christopher Lloyd's acting. Is because, like, you were talking about how, like, all movies have, like, certain beats. He's really good from, like, an actor's point of view of being in the present moment.
Yeah.
Like, he's not thinking ahead. He's not, concerning himself with, like, the next line or, the next scene. He's like, this is what my character needs to say right now.
Yeah.
And as an audience member, he's just very good at kind of, like, being so snappy present.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
No, very, very good acting. Very good actor. I'm not sure you saw kind of tangent, but the Back to the Future musical that's coming to London.
Yes.
He was in the trailer.
We're going to go see.
That we're going to go see. Christopher Lloyd was in the trailer.
I know.
And he says, "You're late." But anyway, it's super cool. But yeah, so basically, they all get caught. He says, just run off into the woods. You'll be fine. I'll see you later, kid. And then we get reintroduced to the Doctor. The Doctor comes back, Showbar, Celeste Dunbar. She comes back, she talks to Mud, and she's like, "Yeah, I know, like, he was never going to change. He was always going to be a sleazeball, like..."
Classic Celeste.
Classic Celeste.
Classic Celeste.
And then we go back, and we see this piss yellow gremlin car. And he is telling everybody that what he did was all his idea, and it was this weird cult. Speaking of cults, but that, like, he was the leader of this weird cult.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I admit," like, this is just again, Dennis obviously being an improv, like, yes-anding, where because he wanted to get the rap for it, and he sent Mud away, like, to, like, "Oh, when your parents see you, they'll be so happy." That's just so Mud couldn't stop him, from saying it was his whole idea.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, no, I just found some innocent kids. I prayed on them, thought they'd give me their money.
Yeah.
Classic guy.
Classic guy.
And they're all like, "Okay, bud," like.
Yeah, and then Mud's like, Mud comes back. It's like, "Nice try, Dennis." And he's like, "No, this was my idea." Like, and he goes, "Yes, the what did he say? The blessed child, the most gullible." And he was like, "No, this was my idea. I just hate when my parents make me do things." And he goes, "If it was all his idea, why do I have all the money? Like, why is all the money in my sock?" And everyone ends up believing Mud. And then, in the end, one of my favorite lines, I think, in the entire film happens, where he goes up to T.R. Polk and he gives him the rest of the money that he has, and he says, "Here, this should just about this should just about cover all of Dennis's payments that he needs to make." And T.R. Polk was saying, "I retire in October and I want to have a perfect record." And if he didn't catch Dennis, he wouldn't have a perfect record. So so he gives him the money.
Do you want me to do Dennis's line and give you the setup?
Do you mean Mud's line?
No, I'll set you up for. I mean, Pog's line. I'll set you up for Mud's
Polk's
line
line.
back.
So he hands him the cash, says that should just about cover it. And he counts
Well,
it.
kid, you're a little short.
Well, you're a little fat. And it was just so perfect.
So brutal.
So brutally funny. And he goes, look, do you really not want a perfect record? And he was like, well, I could, chalk the rest up to business expenses. Fine. I'm retiring with a perfect record. And then he said like, oh, what did he say? He was like, oh, if you're ever in Colorado, don't look me up.
Yeah. Yeah. To the police officer, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Because
just
obviously
like,
he's
don't
done
look me
some
up.
criminal things.
It was so good. Like it's just so
Yeah.
just the entire I'm glad that I've managed to maybe flip the script on you a little bit. And then there's also the one bit that I don't like is there's kind of a forced love interest between Mud and
Gabby.
what was her name? Gabby.
Yeah.
There's kind of
Gabby.
like a forced love thing. I wasn't huge
Well,
on.
I
but
felt like this one was better than the other one.
fair. That's that's fair.
Because they're both like Gabby's
Yeah, but
plotline is
to me
basically
that's
she
more
gets sent to
cliche.
that camp.
To me that's more cliche that the geeks
Yeah.
have a like get together. To me that's because I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, because they make like a pact in a bus where they're like, hey, if we grow up and become cool, let's just not date. Let's just date other loser kids.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and she's like,
yeah.
yeah, okay. And there's this bit at the end where
Like Trish
Trish, the popular girl,
kisses him on the cheek, and he fully like this is a bit where I cringed, where like he like looked like fully just checked her out, like fully just like. And she went, "Hey, ex geeks only, remember?" And then they do this awkward thing where they handshake and they're like, "Bye, bye, bye," and so they kiss.
It's like, grow up.
So yeah, and then it ends with this bit's absolutely bat crazy because Dennis comes out in his new car and it's the car that frickin' Zach's been restoring. And it looks completely different. I'm pretty sure it's a different car, and it's also now a convertible. But also, it's completely blue, and the Caribbean yellow piece of S is paid off, and Dennis drives off in a fully restored car. He could have given the car like his compensation. Like I didn't pay for it. Here, have the car. Like, oh, it's so funny, because the car was paid off, and then he just
Yeah.
And
it's stupid. And like they've got that bit at the end.
But it's 90s kids, and it's like kids aren't going to question this.
And there's that bit at the end where they're like, Mud's like, look, if I'm tired of people telling me that I have potential. Like sometimes the whole like there's like a line early on where Dennis is like, look, just because I'm smart kid
doesn't mean I can't act stupid.
And so he gets up and he repeats that line, and then Zach's like, yeah, I'm stupid too.
No, Trish says that.
Yeah. Zach's like, yeah, I'm with him. And then Trish is like, yeah, I'm stupid too. Wait, no, you know what I mean.
Wait,
like, okay, that's a really good line.
They're classics, but they're classics for a reason.
Yeah. Do you know what my favorite line in the movie is? And I just found it on Disney Plus. I went and found it. It's back to the scene where they're grabbing money out of the wallet.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future scene.
Oh yeah, and they say, the kid says, "Come on,
Mud.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, come on, like you can't spend it all, otherwise you'll draw attention to yourselves. And there's this blonde kid, and his delivery is perfect. He's like, come on, we may be stupid, but we're not complete morons. Hard cut to them getting truckloads of stuff. It's so good.
It is so good. I'm glad I managed to flip the script on you there a little bit. But yeah, so it's honestly wonderful, and I'm so glad that I forced you, two people in one of our Discord servers, my stepmom and my dad to watch this film.
Well, more than two people in the Discord server. There were four of us there, technically.
Well, there were four of us, but I've already seen it. You had to watch it, and
no, I meant other than you. And then you've got
and then
two people joined.
Two people joined later. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall,
I made
six of us that
four
watched it in
people.
that Discord server.
Yeah, I made four people watch this stupid film.
That was a good film. It ends on a weird note, though.
Ends on a really weird note.
On a really weird note, because it was the 90s, and people are like, ah.
So,
It's your movie. You should talk about it.
No, you go on. You talk about the weird ending.
No, you go talk about it.
No, I want you to talk about it, Seb.
Fine.
I'll be honest. I forgot.
So the whole movie.
I forgot how it ended.
So throughout the whole
It was a great evening. It was a great evening. I had loads of fun.
I had a great time. I ate a full bag of Poppadoms.
Did you?
I did. 'Cause I was like watching it. I was like trying to get through the movie. And like I did enjoy it now that we've talked about it more. But during it, I was like, oh, this is like
So lame.
I was like really focused on my Poppadoms. So throughout the movie, there's a kid who's like, oh, the only reason why I want to come to camp is because like I've heard that at the girls' camp,
yeah,
they go skinny dipping.
I
like-
intentionally didn't talk about that.
I know you didn't, but I'm gonna bring it up because it was your choice.
It was my choice. I'm
Um,
actually kind of terrified because I was exactly their age. Well, you're old. So obviously
Ow.
I'm kidding.
And yeah, this kid, the whole movie is like, yeah, I want to go skinny dipping. Like, let's convince me to go skinny
I want to
dipping,
go
which is
skinny
weird.
dipping with this girl, specifically. Oh, it doesn't. Oh.
And so after Mud and Gabby kiss and like have their moment, it just abruptly finishes with a callback to this dumb scene, and it's this kid and that girl, and they're in the lake, and she's shown to like take off her bikini.
Or it like
And
look
throw
it like looks like that she's not wearing
Yeah.
a swimming costume. Yeah.
And so he does the same, and then she gets out of the water, and it's revealed she's fully clothed in like
Yeah.
a bikini and everything, and
Yeah,
she's
for-
like,
for-
haha, you
ac-
didn't.
Actually, it's a one piece, not the anime.
Yeah, it's a one piece, and yeah, I know what you meant. Right? And then it just ends,
And then it just ends. Yeah.
and then it just
It
ends,
was
and the
it was
credits
a
roll,
weird
and-
ending. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been interesting for it to. Okay, I have an idea of how this movie could have been a
Well,
lot
I
better.
actually want to talk about that really quickly just before you get into that, because the end of the film, he goes, yeah, well, he's just gonna force me to go to college and spend $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
And Mud goes, $20,000 a year, and like Dennis is like, I like what you're thinking. I so wanted that
Yeah.
sequel. I wanted University of Nowhere. I wanted that film, because that would have been so much worse.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I was thinking what would have made a lot more sense to me to end this film would have been that classic Hollywood ending where Dennis, instead of going back to being a teacher, he starts up his own camp.
Yeah, or something like
And
that.
Camp Noah becomes a real camp with all of these different activities and, just fun stuff like that. But obviously budget and writers is all I could say. All in all though, how many pins would you give this movie?
Out of 10. Are we
So-
actually using that as a rating system now?
Yeah, I think why not? It would be interesting. For those who
Um,
don't know, in one of Sammy's old streams, I brought up the fact that when we do this Monday thing, we should rate every movie that we watch from now on, because obviously we are
Because
in
of
the
like
bowling
10
alley.
pin bowling, yeah.
We should rate it out of 10 pins.
Camp nowhere else.
Um, yeah, Christopher Lloyd 100% would be on board.
Oh, he's
Get all
so
the kids
old,
back together. He's pushing 80,
though.
right?
He's so old. Yeah.
Maybe not that old.
I'll look it up. You talk.
Okay, so I think, personally, out of 10 pins, I'd say this movie knocks down 6.
He's
6 out of 10.
82.
80s. Wow.
Yeah, he's getting on.
Wow. Yeah. So
Um,
I'd give it a 6 pins out of 10.
6 pins out of 10. I think just for the nostalgia, I'd give it a 7. I think if I hadn't grown up with this film, I think I'd also give it a 6. But I think because of the nostalgia, I think I'd give it a 7.
I think if I hadn't rewatched it, I would have given this a solid 9 out of 10.
Spring Chicken. Yeah, no, he's well young. Um,
Yeah.
the people who we forced to watch it, so people in chat, like, what would you
Yeah.
give it? What would you give it out of 10 bowling pins?
Oh. While they're typing that,
Yes.
here's a little bit of trivia for you.
Okay, hit me with the trivia.
Can you name the actress who got her career in this movie, whose career started with this movie? She has one line in the whole movie, and she is an extremely popular actress today. Or she was.
Elijah Wood. No, that was last week. Ooh,
Best movie line ever.
don't
I thought you'd be
know.
bigger.
That's from Roadhouse. Oh my god, I'm gonna make you watch Roadhouse.
I've seen Roadhouse.
Oh, have you?
A lot. I've seen
I've seen it
Roadhouse
a lot
many-
too. I've seen it like
Yeah.
800 times. 7 out of 10 good 90s nostalgia. Okay. 4 candlepins. Wow, really? That's horrible. But I thought it was better than 4, but you know, whatever.
No, that's fair enough.
No, yeah, oh yeah. I can give them
I think
grief.
I'm giving it a 6 because of nostalgia. I would have given it a 5. I hadn't seen it before.
See, mine's 7, but 6 is But anyway, Roadhouse is a film, and I swear I watched it. I made my friend watch it, and she went like, "What's like the story of the film?" And I went, and I took both of her hands and I looked at her in the face and I went, "I've seen this film maybe 100 times. I could not tell you the plot."
Yeah.
I forget every time. But have you played it? Have you played it as a drinking game?
What, Roadhouse?
Yeah, have you seen?
No.
Oh my god, we need to do that. Basically, you have to
Okay.
you have to drink every time someone says I thought you'd be bigger. You have to drink every time a glass breaks.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
That's not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I was my stepmom and dad called me after I played the game because it was like a family member's birthday, and so I was like, "I'll be real with you. I just played the Roadhouse drinking game, and I'm kind of whoa," because I ended up drinking like 6 beers in that 2 hours because you have to drink
Right.
you have to drink so much, but also, you have to completely finish your drink when 2 things happen. So that's a guaranteed 2 beers that you have to just drink.
Is one of them a throat rip?
One of them is the throat rip, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one is right before that, and it's about the guys in prison line.
I love that line.
So we'd finish 2 like right next to each other.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's that drinking game. But anyway, yes.
You remembered you talked to us so that you were fine.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the limit. But yeah, so who do you think it was? Which actress?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Jessica Alba is in this movie.
Really?
Yes.
Who was Jessica Alba?
She has a throwaway line, and she's in the background of a couple of scenes. I was going to bring it up when we watched it, but then I thought,
I'm
hang on a
glad that
second.
you didn't. Yeah.
This is a good moment for some trivia.
Which one was she?
It's very obvious. She's in the background of one scene. I think it's in the scene where they're going over the rules. She's very clearly in the background. And I'll get up.
Oh yeah. Did she have what was the
Yeah.
line?
I actually don't know.
That
I
is
can't
nuts.
remember anymore.
What was your one line, Jessica Alba?
She played Gail. Everyone, that was her name.
Why do they? I've
Um,
never understood, because when I write scripts and you don't need to know a character's name, I never give them names.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so she's in the scene where
That was her first role. Jeez.
they get a huge subway.
Yeah.
Is like the thing.
Yeah, they get
Yeah.
the huge like party sub.
So, here's another thing. Here's another bit of trivia for you that I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah.
There is a bar named Camp Nowhere in North Providence in Rhode Island, which is
I've been to
themed
North
after
Providence.
this film. We should go
We should go. Well, I mean,
randomly.
say-
Just
saying you've been to Providence is like saying you've been to Rhode Island, because that entire state is tiny.
we should. I know it's probably been knocked down by now, 100%.
Very much locked down.
Would you go to a Camp Nowhere themed bar?
Yes. Without a doubt. We
Amazing.
should make the bowling alley Camp Nowhere themed.
Oh no!
No. It's my channel, dude. You are a guest in my house. You don't.
That is true. But as a viewer and as a subscriber, a follower,
I was gonna say, you
I
don't
think I'd leave.
I only need 5 more followers to become an affiliate. I have 45 followers, so I need 5 more followers.
So people get to follow and share.
Yeah,
Like,
people
tell
need to
people
follow.
you know to
Tell all your
follow.
friends to follow me so that Twitch can pay me for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very
Um,
cool.
Yeah.
So
Dude.
I think
Good movie.
it's been about 2.5 hours. I know we said we're gonna go to 6, but I think we're about done there.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna wrap it up a little bit early, but just wanted to
I'm
say
having fun with that too.
thank you everybody for stopping by. Everyone get your ahs in chat, because because we're
Aw.
ending, so you have to say ah. But I'm glad I forced you to watch this. Hey, also, actually, tell you what, we'll go to 2 hours 30, and so that's 3 minutes left roughly. Thank you, Edgy Boys. You're welcome. If someone right now donates, if you go to the donate section in my about underneath this video, if you go into the donation section and you donate us any sum of money, I think I think I've set it up so it's minimum £1. But if you send us any amount of money, you get to tell us what film we watch next week. If it's on, Netflix, Amazon, or Disney Plus, we have all those streaming services. So, Camp Nowhere is still
Rhode
open.
Island's
It's
still open.
Still open. Dope.
Then we gotta go.
We gotta go. So,
I
yeah.
thought that he was going to donate and say, I'm going to choose Camp Nowhere again.
Yeah, we're gonna make you watch Camp Nowhere again. That's it. I just upload this video again, just like stream it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or it's us reacting to us doing this.
So you've got until I'm gonna say I think 32 minutes past is the one. So you got till 32 minutes past to donate any money, and you get to tell us what film we're gonna be watching this week.
Yes.
And I'll also have that set up on my Tuesday and my Friday stream. If you send any amount of money, you get to tell me what film we watch. So yeah, I'll give it some time.
So I've had some ideas of what we could watch in the future myself. I've been thinking about movies that maybe you haven't seen. There are some classics from my childhood.
Nice.
Because although we were kind of born around the same time, I know for a fact there are movies that I was like raised with that you have no idea. We have a couple of fun gimmicks lined up for the future too. We have some good Halloween gimmicks for October.
Yeah.
We have some ideas for Shark Week.
We do. I did tell one person in chat because I couldn't not.
Well, it's an incredible idea.
But they won't tell anyone. So yeah. So we're Shark Week. In case you want to put it in your calendars now. Hey, we got 420. Hell yeah! What film would you like me to watch? Whoever that was. What film would you like us to watch? I know who sent it, but or because I know that person who sent it. So, if they want someone in chat to say for them what film we watch, I don't mind doing that either.
I'm excited to know.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know who it was because PayPal tells me when someone gives me money.
Okay.
And it's 420. Ha 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 ha.
Not for any other reason.
Not for any other reason.
That's why my hands are wet.
Roadhouse, obviously. Okay. It was my dad, so
Yeah.
I guess next week we're watching Roadhouse. It's in the tip.
Roadhouse.
Is it in the tip? I don't know why it didn't show me that. I apologize. Oh, Roadhouse, obviously. Yes, I did get that. I just didn't read it. That's my bad.
Hey, Sammy.
I thought you'd be bigger.
I tip guys like you in prison.
Oh, you just froze, but I know what you said. I tip guys like you in prison. That's very funny. It does say I'm just bad at reading because no one's ever put a note in the tip before. But yeah, so I
Next
don't.
week is Roadhouse.
So
I love
next
Roadhouse.
week is gonna
I'm very
be
excited.
Roadhouse. Me too. I'm also very excited.
Sam Elliott, right? I think, or is that?
Sam Elliott.
I love Sam Elliott so much.
The cowboy man from frickin' from The Big Lebowski, which is one of my favorite films, is
Also
in
a great film.
Roadhouse. It's also a great film. Cool.
Ron Dunn.
Well,
from Parks
ladies
and
and
Rec.
gentlemen, we shall see you next week. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Going to be playing Mario Kart, and if you have a Switch, I'm going to be playing it with viewers. So if you have a Switch and you have Mario Kart, add me, and and like you can add me on the day. Basically the way that you'll do that, and I'll say this more on the day as well, is you just type in !join. All my exes live in Texas. That's why I hang my hat in Tennessee. Anyway,
That
yeah,
movie made me
so,
want to learn how to play slide guitar.
No, it didn't. It was bad. So yeah, it's my favorite bad movie. But anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna be playing with viewers. Just put !join, and you'll get added to a queue. So yeah,
I might be
hope
there.
You maybe. So I hope to see you all tomorrow, same time, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Going to be playing Mario Kart with viewers. Then Friday, 3 to 6, going to be continuing with my Prison Architect stream. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please pick up your popcorn, your sodas, and your box of Twizzlers that I know you leave in the seats.
Yeah.
And take them.
I used to work as
outside.
an usher here, and in real life.
Yeah, he did actually used
mess
to
I had
to clean up.
pick up was awful. So we would really appreciate it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much
we hope to see you again next week.
Thank you for stopping by the bowling alley. We will see you for Roadhouse next week. And
Roadhouse.
See, yeah, Doris will
Doris will clean up.
No, she won't.
She'll just add more to the mess. To be honest.
Well, yeah, no, she'll clean it up, but she'll like have snacks and drinks as she goes. So she'll just leave them on the ground.
And she'll be smoking.
Maybe she's smoking. Yeah,
on the floor.
Whenever she cleans up, it's actually worse than when it started. Cool. Right. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming by the Edgy Boi Picture Show. Hope to see you tomorrow, Friday, and the next week. Bye, guys.
As always, thank you for having me, Sammy.
You're welcome. Don't come back next week. No, I'm just kidding. This is Seb's last episode.
Oh God, what have I done?
All right. Bye, guys.
Is this because I kept giving that kid compliments?
You need to stop.
Okay. Bye.